Does it take a lot of time to do whatever it is that you do?
It does. I have to blow dry it, condition it, and then I have to beard straighten it with my beard straightener.
There's a beard straightener?
Oh, yeah. I've got a heated beard comb that you brush through it, straightens it out.
Is there a people straightener? Like, would it work on me? Welcome to our second podcast, Property Management Uncensored. I almost forgot the name there, but I was so excited that we actually got Steve in here, Steve Willis with Goosehead Insurance. Originally, we had this episode titled, Every House is in a Flood Zone, because that's one of Steve's favorite go-to quotes, but we did change it to something a little more appropriate, I think, which is duct tape can't fix this, because we're going to be talking about some tenant claims or claims that you've had in your experience as in the insurance field. So you're with Goosehead Insurance, the wave agency,
yes,
which is our local.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing insurance?
Let's see. I first got my insurance license back in 2003, actually, right after I got out of the Navy. I went and worked at Geico for a little bit, did a little tour in the real estate biz, selling houses, and then decided to open up an insurance agency that specializes in working with real estate people. So it's been great so far.
So to put this in perspective, you were already working 2003. I was just getting out of high school.
Yep. Yep. So I'm old, is what you're trying to say. Thank you.
It's the gray in the beard.
It's the gray in the beard, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I'm distinguished.
Okay. We'll go with that. That's not exactly the word that came to mind.
Demure?
Demure.
There we go.
Demure. I can't believe we just got that word on this podcast.
Hey. I'm not even sure why that's popular. I just saw it on Facebook the other day, so I was like,
we're going to edit this whole section out and start again. Not really. So before you said you were in the Navy, how long were you in the Navy?
Just did 4 years, one and done. Got out in 2003 and went straight to Geico in their military service department. So
you sort of kept it military?
Yeah, I did that for a while. Then the real estate boom hit and everybody decided to become a real estate agent at the same time. And I joined in that fad and then went through the foreclosure mortgage crisis and all that. And then I've just stayed with the business the whole time. So until technically I'm a realtor, I'm in referral status. I don't sell any houses anymore, but I do have rain access, which is really nice.
That's convenient. Very nice. What states are you licensed in?
So I'm licensed in Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, but Goosehead has offices in every one of the states. So if there's any other states, I can always help anybody, no matter where they're at.
So you can always help with referrals?
Yeah, absolutely. I love referrals.
Referrals are the key word.
Yes, referrals.
In all of our businesses.
Yes. So I love referrals, and every house is in a flood zone, just to bring that point back up.
That's huge, because a lot of people, and we'll dive right into this subject right now, people think I'm not close to the water. I don't need flood insurance.
Yep.
So why do I need flood insurance if I'm not close to the water?
Well, distance to water is not one of the things. It's really about the elevation of the land and the different types of flood. So a lot of times people will say, I'm not in a flood zone or I don't need flood insurance. And what they mean is that if they got a mortgage, they would not be forced to get flood insurance. But 20% of flood losses happen in zones that don't require flood insurance. So it's always a good idea to consider it, especially coastal areas like Hampton Roads. So
we had an issue here. I think it was roughly 2016. I believe it was Hurricane Matthew came through.
Hurricane Matthew, yeah.
And it just devastated an area of town that was not in a flood zone.
Yep, like the whole kind of South Plaza, Princess Anne area now has been zoned into AE, but back then it was flood zone X. And a lot of those people had no flood insurance.
Right.
That's actually why they flooded the Bow Creek Golf Course, was to help with the stormwater runoff to try to prevent that from happening again.
Wow, one of my first properties that we took over was, when I came into property management, was a property that was damaged by that hurricane, because I came into property management at the end of 2016.
Yeah,
that was a nightmare.
A lot of people were really up a creek on that one.
Yeah,
literally,
yeah, absolutely. So what's the difference between homeowners insurance and landlord insurance?
Great question. Homeowners insurance covers you when you're living in the house as your primary residence or a vacation or second home. It's called an HO3 policy. It gives you coverage for your contents, for the liability, like a friend comes over and gets hurt, if you have to stay in a hotel because there's a fire at the house, something like that. But a landlord wants a dwelling policy, also called a DP3. That protects them as a landlord not living in the house, but also having the liability of tenants who might have guests come over. It also covers things like loss of rent, different things like that would be more specific to a landlord than for a homeowner. So they're not necessarily one more expensive than the other. They're just completely different insurance products, completely different contracts. So it's always important to make sure you have the landlord portion. One of the things we see most often common. It's people who own the home, lived in it, and then decide to move out and rent it out. They call somebody like you, but a lot of times they don't call us and tell us that it is now a landlord home, so they still have the wrong policy. And unfortunately, sometimes they go to file a claim and figure it out the hard way. So we always try to let everybody know, make sure you have landlord insurance.
Yeah, and we're actually fortunate where we've worked closely together, and I'll refer clients of mine over to you to at least quote it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that at least puts that bug in their brain, like, hey, we need to look at landlord insurance. And when I moved back into I had a rental property, and I moved back into it, and Steve was actually the one that was like, hey, did you requote that back as a homeowners?
Yep.
And I was like, oh.
See, even property managers
we even forget.
Yep, that's why we're here to remind everybody. So we don't want anybody to file a claim and find out the hard way when something's not covered. So that would be a really crappy way to figure it out. So
yeah, is there a percentage of properties that you think are probably not covered correctly?
The last study I saw that houses where the owner lived in it and now rents it out, about 60% of them probably have the homeowner's policy still. Wow. We don't have exact numbers because we don't always know because they don't tell us, but that's what the kind of the industry is assuming is the standard based on what they've studied.
Yeah, there was a case I'm familiar of, and homeowners insurance actually kicked off the issue where we had someone purchase, not me, but we had someone purchase a property as they were going to be moving into it, but then they purchased a landlord policy for the insurance because they had anticipated renting it out just for someone, and that declined the whole process.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. When you're doing, when you're purchasing, they're definitely going to look at what type of insurance for what type of purchase it is, so that can be a big problem.
Yeah. You should probably be honest on those types of things.
You should always be honest with your insurance company because the last thing you want is to find out later that that lie costs you the coverage that you need. We see it all the time. So definitely something to avoid.
Speaking of coverage, let's talk about banned breeds because I deal with this a lot in the property management world where and now there's exceptions, obviously, through emotional support animals and service animals, and we're governed by HUD and their rules. You're governed by different rules, so can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, this is a great thing. And one, I don't like restricted breed lists, but they're a thing. I understand it is not the pit bull's fault that it is on that list, but this is the only way the insurance company can regulate it. So most insurance companies will have a restricted breeds list. A pit bull is going to be on every one of them, and they have heard all the other words for pit bull, Staffordshire Terrier, American Bully, any of those things. If it looks like a pit bull, it's going to be called a pit bull. Usually Dobermans, German Shepherds, Rottweilers would be on there. And insurance companies, it's not necessarily more if you have this type of animal. It's just they won't take you at all. So I work with 30 or 40 carriers. But if you have a pit bull, I'm probably eliminating 50 to 60% of those right off the bat. Now, when it comes to support animals, emotional support animals, the ADA, all that type of stuff, that regulates the landlords and the property managers, but it doesn't do anything to the insurance carriers. So unfortunately, just because the landlord may be forced to rent to you because you have an ESA or a service dog, something like that, it doesn't mean the insurance company has to take it. So unfortunately, that puts some landlords in a pickle everywhere, but every now and then, people will reach out and say, well, it's a service dog. We can ask for exceptions, but they rarely give it. The one is there are a few carriers that will do, it's called good neighbor training, where if the dog has got a certain training certificate from these good neighbor programs, that they will allow them, even if it's on a restricted breed list. So it sucks, but the insurance carriers, that's the way they do it. That's why we work with so many carriers, so we can kind of find options where the other ones are saying no.
Yeah, and I have a pit bull as well, and he's adorable, and this podcast is pit bull approved because none of us like banned breeds.
No, I've had one as well. I had an English bulldog for a while, and it was on a bunch of the lists. So I've been there. I understand their pain, and it's not fair, but it's not me. It's not my rule. So don't take it out on me, please.
That's right. Be nice to us.
Yes, be nice.
We're doing our jobs.
Yes, absolutely.
Insurance costs have gone up, and it's tough to even find coverage right now, especially in coastal communities. What's going on with that?
Oh my goodness. So inflation has not helped. There's been an uptick in weather-related claims. Some people will call that, climate change. Some people will just call it an uptick in weather-related claims, depending on which side of the board you're on. But ultimately, insurance is going up everywhere, but coastal areas are hitting it the most. We've been seeing massive price increases. I think one of yours went up actually pretty significantly. We were able to reshop it and find something better, but yeah.
Yeah, my personal property doubled.
Yeah.
Like in insurance, and it was crazy. So I got with Steve, and he actually found a policy where it went up like 5% or something like that. It was negligible.
Yeah, we can always look, and people think it's something personal, like, oh, I've been with them 5-10 years, and they're just hammering it to me. It is just math and the way they are calculating risk and profit. Insurance is really just a complicated calculator where the insurance company thinks if we do all these steps, then we'll have this much profit. So it's never a personal decision. So what we are seeing, though, is a lot of companies going way up in their rates, but we're also seeing a lot of companies try to de-risk in coastal areas, meaning they're just not renewing the policies altogether. They didn't do anything wrong. They've just decided we don't want to renew you when it comes up. They've also gotten a lot more picky with the inspections. When you get a home insurance policy or a landlord policy, they're going to do a visual inspection, usually just to the outside. But they've started to get a lot more stringent, like branches overhanging the house, patched roofs. They'll deny the policy. We've even seen them using drones recently to start looking at people's roofs a little bit more effectively. So hopefully we'll come out of this in another year or two, but it looks like we're just going to be buckled in for some fun insurance days ahead for at least the next year or two.
What's the craziest claim you have heard of?
Oh, gosh. Claim? The craziest claim was I had a guy call me. He had bought his wife a really expensive diamond necklace for some occasion, and he was reporting it stolen. He couldn't find it. He was missing, and he had scheduled it on the policy, which you always want to do with your jewelry if it's valuable, but he filed the claim and everything, and so we put it in and all that, and then a week later he calls me and says that his wife was actually arrested at work. So it turns out his wife found the diamond necklace, assumed that it belonged to another woman, took it to a pawn shop and pawned it to use the money to hire a private detective to follow him around. The pawn shop reported the sale. It went to the police, who had the claim. She got arrested. They did work it out, and they actually had their first baby a few years ago. So they stayed together, believe it or not. It was probably the craziest claim story that I've ever had.
So the wife was arrested because the husband bought her.
Yes, because she took it and pawned it, and he reported it stolen. So
wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Because she thought he was cheating, which, as far as we know, he wasn't. And
not in that case, anyway.
Yeah, and they worked it out. I was really surprised on that one.
Wow.
Now, back in my service days, I was a service agent at a Geico. I had a lady call in one time because she got ID cards for a car and a name that she didn't recognize in the mail. So she called in to us to figure out what it was. It turns out her husband had a mistress in another state. He bought her a car and got her an insurance policy set up, but didn't change the mailing address on it. So it sent them home to his wife. So we wound up being the ones who accidentally got him caught for cheating. Now,
whoops.
Yeah, this one didn't make it. I checked their policy a few months later, and it were on separate policies as both single people at that point. So unfortunately, I know it wasn't completely our fault, but we did feel a little guilty on that one. So. Yeah.
I don't even know where to go on that one. Yeah. Like, be careful. Like,
yeah, if you're going to have a mistress, make sure maybe a different insurance company from the one that you have your wife's car insured with. That just might be a thought there.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Or just don't have a mistress. I don't know.
That's a safe bet,
right.
too.
I mean, I don't want to turn down extra policies to sell, but
if you happen to have one,
maybe bring that up. So, to us, not your wife.
Yeah. That's not going to be a good dinner time conversation.
Yes. We won't tell on you, we promise.
We wanted to make this fun, obviously. Yeah. We all have lives outside of work. Mm-hmm. I'm more than a property manager, slightly. You are more than an insurance agent. Yeah. What else do you do?
So I am a divorced father of 4. I got 4 teenagers, 3 of them in high school. It takes up a lot. My son plays travel baseball, so it takes up a lot of time. And then about a year ago, I decided to try stand-up comedy. So that's been my new kind of passion project. Not very good yet, but I'm working on it. It's been a lot of fun. So.
I was hoping you were going to be funny today, and you haven't been.
I know. I was trying. I was trying to go through any jokes I have, and if any of them are appropriate. So I guess here's one. Okay. Best thing about being a divorced father is you get to tell your kids your mama jokes.
Oh, okay.
So I won't tell you the mama joke that goes with that, but other than that, most of my stuff is pretty offensive. So I try not to bring it into work too much if I can.
Yeah, we don't want to be called into boss man's office.
No, I don't want Goosehead Corporate on the phone with me going, why'd you tell that joke?
But, yeah, and I don't want to be yanked into this one.
Right. So.
Not at all.
Yeah.
So I was watching a video of yours the other week, and you seem to have a few nicknames.
Yes.
You know about Goosehead Steve. Yes. I already know about Steve with the beard. Savings Sorcerer.
Yes.
Deductible Destroyer. Mm-hmm. Insurance Encyclopedia.
Yep.
Home Insurance Hero.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite?
The one you didn't use is probably Mr. I'm Your Guy. That's my new favorite one. Yep.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
whatever it is insurance related, I'm your guy. Or beard care tips, obviously. For obvious, well, I mean, you don't need any beard care tips.
I don't.
Maybe one day.
I can't.
One day you'll grow up and get a
can't.
beard. No beard, no facial hair.
No.
It's not for everybody.
It just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I tried. We went to Nicaragua I think it was October or something like that, and I tried to grow a beard while I was there. Did not look good. Not at all.
You got to commit through the first probably year or so before you stop looking homeless all the time. So.
Yeah. And you're just out of that, it looks like.
Just barely out of that. So it depends. You catch me early enough in the morning and I'll still look fairly homeless. So.
Does it take a lot of time to do whatever it is that you do?
It does. I have to blow dry it, condition it, and then I have to beard straighten it with my beard straightener. So I probably spend a good 30, 45 minutes on it every morning.
There's a beard straightener?
Oh, yeah. I've got a heated beard comb that you brush through it, straightens it out. If you are going to use one of these, blow dry it first. Don't do it when it's wet. Guys don't know this stuff, so I have to tell them. I didn't know it in the first, so if you hear sizzling when you're running your beard comb through there, you're doing it wrong.
Is there a people straightener? Like, would it work on me?
I don't know. I'm going to have to check, though. It'd have to be a pretty strong one, I think.
I think so, too. Steve, thank you so much for being with us today. I really hope that everyone gains some useful knowledge out of landlord insurance and insurance in general. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Thanks for partnering with us. We love working with the property management department over here at Atlantic Sotheby's.
The bill's on the way. Don't worry about it.
Hey, there we go.
Thanks for tuning in.
All right, bye.